Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, everyone, to another one of our Spatial Solutions Series webinars. Today, we will be talking about how our products can help with risk management when using GenAI in your GIS environments. So, before we get started, there's a couple housekeeping things I always like to cover. The first is that we do have both chat and Q&A enabled. You're more than welcome to use chat all throughout our presentation today. The only thing that I ask is that if you have questions specifically for us that you'd like us to address in our dedicated Q&A section later on, that you please put them in the Q&A, just because it makes it a lot easier for us to find it. If you put it in the chat, it can sometimes be easy for us to miss it as more chat messages come in. But if you put it in the Q&A, we can make sure that we get it addressed. So once again, feel free to use the chat. But if you have any questions specifically for our presenters today, please put them in the Q&A section. Also, if you stay until the end, you will be entered in for our Map This Bundle giveaway. You'll be entered into a drawing, and by the end of, or within a week, the winner will be contacted, and we'll get your information so that we can send you the bundle. But you do have to stay until the very end of the presentation to be entered into that drawing. Now, I'm Tony. I'm a customer success manager here at GEO Jobe. I've been here going on 4 years, and I work with a lot of clients all over the world to help make sure that they've got the solutions they need to achieve their goals. Later on in our presentation today, we'll be having Stephen and Bryce join us. They're going to be doing the actual demonstration of Backup.my.org and explaining how it can help in depth with generative AI and making sure that everything is secure for your organization. Before we get into that, though, I do want to talk a little bit about GEO Jobe. So I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about us, but for those of you that haven't, we were originally founded in Nashville, Tennessee in 1999 by Neil Jobe. When we first opened up, we offered professional services, GIS training, and we sold GIS equipment. Since then, though, we've migrated our headquarters down to Gulfport, Mississippi, and refocused our services on offering a suite of products to simplify the lives of GIS users. We've been an Esri partner since 2002 and are currently a platinum tier partner. And as a platinum partner, we work very closely with Esri to ensure that our products are always up to date with any new features and applications that Esri offers. We also have clients all over the world with strong presences in the US, AU, and EU. And we're very proud of this because, like I said, we started off as a small company in Nashville, Tennessee, and now roughly 48% of our clients are international. It's just a really cool thing for us to get to be a part of. As far as what we offer now, we've got a couple of different things that we do. So up at the top here, you'll notice that I've got a list of our products, starting with admin tools. We've also got Backup.my.org, which is going to be the main conversation topic of the day. We've also got Clean.my.org, Symphony, and Manage My Attachments. If you've not seen our previous webinars, we've actually covered Symphony and Manage My Attachments in the past already, and some of our previous episodes of the Spatial Solutions series, and I highly encourage you to go check out our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about those. We've also got multiple different divisions here within GEO Jobe. I always like to start with our support division. They work 24/7 to help all of our clients and me. I'm known for breaking things, and they help me out a whole lot. I love them. They're a fantastic team of people that are available to make sure that everything stays running smoothly for you, regardless of the day of the week or the time of day it is. We've also got our GIS services division. They consist of GIS professionals that handle deployments of Esri's desktop, server, web, and mobile applications. There are a lot of talented folks that do data creation, staff augmentation. They create models, and they really work very hands-on with a lot of our customers. Then we also have our software development division, which consists of 2 teams. You've got our products team, which focuses on the development of our GEO Jobe products, our out-of-the-box solutions like Backup.my.org that we'll be talking about today. But then we also have our professional services team that's a part of that works on making custom software development and solutions for our clients that need something a little bit more specific to their needs. We also have a UAV UAS division. They focus on the collection and processing of geospatial data through the use of unmanned aerial vehicles, and they fly drones, collect imagery and data. They even have their own LinkedIn channel that we have, and it's fantastic. Reed Davis, who is the lead of that, has some beautiful images and videos on there. I highly encourage you to check out. And finally, last but not least, we have our data science division. They prepare geospatial data, including cleansing, aggregating, and manipulating data to perform advanced analysis and using machine learning to really delve deep into the data. Next up, I actually have a question for everybody attending today. So we would like to know, what is your ArcGIS organization's current data backup plan? And I'm going to give it a few moments here just so that everybody has an opportunity to answer this question. And it's very hands-on for what we're going to be talking about today, because you do always need to have a proper data backup plan. I'd also like to take this opportunity to ask where you might be watching us from. So if you want to go ahead and type in the chat to where you're joining us from, I'd greatly appreciate it, because I know we've got people from all over coming in to check us out. I want to say we had close to 200 people register for this, so I'm really excited to see how we can help everybody out. But you should see a pop-up on screen now that'll let you type in your answer for the question. And like I said, we're going to give it just a couple of moments here. And I'll have a couple more questions. I've got 3 of these in total throughout the webinar today, but we're going to give this just a little bit. So we've got some people in from Maryland. That's always awesome to see. And like I said, we're going to give it just a couple of minutes here, just to make sure everyone has an opportunity to answer before we tap on to the next slide here. Ooh, Oklahoma City. All right. The UK. Hey, I know you, Chris. How's it going? We've got some people from Canada. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we've got a couple of people coming in. Yeah, Wyoming. Look at that. Like I said, we try to help people all over. So if this is your first time getting in touch with us, just know that we work with people all over the world. So if anything, at any point you have questions about, make sure you drop them into the Q&A. California, we've got Las Vegas. Look at this. Heck yeah. So great to see. All right. With that said, I think now we've gotten most of our questions in, and I'm going to go ahead and pass things on over to Stephen here, who's going to start going over our solution.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen McCall, the Director of Products here at GEO Jobe, and today we're talking about something that I think every ArcGIS administrator needs to hear right now. The title of this webinar is GenAI Strategy and Transformation with a Backup Plan. And I want to be upfront about why that last part matters. The backup plan isn't an afterthought. In the age of AI agents, it might be the most important part of your entire strategy. So let's get into it. Here's what we're covering today. We're going to start by taking a look at the world you've already been living in, whether you realize it or not. Then we'll walk through a couple of worst-case scenarios that are specific to ArcGIS environments. After that, I'll introduce the backup-first mindset and show you why the traditional approaches don't cut it anymore. Then comes the fun part. We'll do a live demo of Backup.my.org showing you exactly how backup and restore work. And then I've got a sneak peek of something we've been building that I'm really excited about. MCP workflows for Backup.my.org that lets you manage your backups through a conversation with an AI assistant. We'll wrap up with a look at 2 very different futures, and you get to pick which one you want. So let's start here, the world you're already living in. 9 seconds. That's how long it took for an AI agent to delete an entire production database. And not just the database, the backups too. All of them, gone. This happened on April 25th, just a few weeks ago. A company called Pocket OS had an AI coding agent running in what was supposed to be a staging environment. The agent hit a credential mismatch, found an API token that it wasn't supposed to have access to, and decided on its own the best way to fix the problem was to delete everything. No confirmation prompt, no human in the loop, 9 seconds. This made headlines in Fortune and a bunch of other publications. And this is not some theoretical risk paper, this actually happened. And here's what makes it relevant to everyone watching this. The AI agent wasn't doing anything unusual. It was just running a routine task. It made a judgment call, and that judgment call destroyed everything. Now you may be thinking, well, that's just one company, that won't happen to us. So let's look at the numbers. Gartner is projecting that 40% of enterprise applications will have AI agents embedded in them by the end of this year. That's up from less than 5% just last year. That's an enormous jump. McKinsey's latest trust survey found that roughly two-thirds of organizations cite security and risk as the number one barrier to scaling agentic AI. So people know it's risky. They're doing it anyway. And here's one that really gets me. 85.6% of organizations are launching AI agents without a full security review. That means the vast majority of teams are deploying agents that can read, write, and delete data, and nobody is fully vetting what those agents are allowed to do. The bottom line is this. Your organization is participating in this ecosystem, whether you've made a conscious decision to or not. Your team members are using AI tools. Your vendors are embedding AI agents. This is happening. So what does this mean for GIS specifically? ArcGIS content is deeply interconnected. A single web map might depend on a dozen feature services. Each of those has its own schema, symbology, attachments, and sharing permissions. When something breaks, it doesn't break in isolation. AI agents are already being used in GIS workflows. People are using them to automate content management, process data, update metadata, and manage users. That's happening today in your org or in orgs like yours. And when an AI agent overwrites a feature service, or deletes items it thinks are duplicates, or modifies a schema that it doesn't fully understand, the blast radius isn't one file. It's an entire dependency chain. Maps break, dashboards go dark, applications stop working, and nobody realizes it until the next morning when someone tries to open a map and gets an error. The question is not, will this happen to us? The question is, are we ready when it does? And here are two scenarios that could happen in any ArcGIS organization tomorrow. Scenario 1. Your team uses an AI agent to clean up your ArcGIS Online org. It's supposed to find and remove duplicate items. Straightforward task, right? The agent looks at item titles, finds items with similar names, and deletes what it determines are duplicates. Except some of those duplicates weren't duplicates at all. They were version backups that someone kept intentionally. They were region-specific variants with slightly different names. The agent didn't know that. It saw similar names and made a decision. Now dozens of web maps are pointing to items that no longer exist. Your users are opening maps and getting blank screens or error messages. And the items are gone. Not in a recycle bin, just gone. But here's the thing. If you had a backup taken right before that agent ran, fully recoverable. Every single item, with all of its dependencies, restored exactly as it was. Scenario 2. You have an AI workflow that runs overnight to update feature service schemas based on a new data model. The agent looks at existing schema, compares it to the target, and starts making changes. It modifies field types. And then it drops columns that it determines are unused. Except those columns weren't unused. They were used by a dashboard that queries a specific field. Or they were used by a workforce project that depends on a particular schema. Or they were used by a Survey 123 form that maps submissions to those exact fields. By morning, 3 dashboards are broken, a workforce project is down, and Survey 123 is collecting data into fields that no longer match. And the schema changes can't just be undone. The data in those drop columns is just gone. Unless you have a backup. Then it's a restore operation, and you're back to normal for your first meeting of the day. Both of these scenarios share one thing in common. If you had a backup, every single one is fully recoverable. So let's talk about the backup first mindset. Now, some of you may be thinking, we already have backup procedures, and that's great. But let's be honest about what those procedures actually cover. If you're relying on platform-level snapshots like WebGIS DR, those restore entire environments. You can't roll back a single feature service or a single web map. It's all or nothing. And that's overkill for most recovery scenarios. Manual exports don't capture dependencies. So even if you exported an item, when you bring it all back, all the references between that item and its dependent maps, apps, and services are broken. Homegrown scripts are great until the ArcGIS API changes. And then they break, and the person who wrote them left the team 2 years ago, and nobody knows how to fix them. And here's the fundamental problem. None of these approaches are fast enough to keep pace with AI that acts in seconds. An AI agent can modify hundreds of items in the time it takes you to open a browser tab. Your backup strategy needs to be in place before the agent runs, not after you realize something went wrong. So that brings us to Backup.my.org. Backup.my.org is purpose-built for ArcGIS. It's designed specifically for the complexity of ArcGIS content, which means it understands the relationships between items that other backup tools don't even know exist. You get a granular backup from your full organization all the way down to a single group, item, or user. You choose what to protect. It has automatic dependency detection. So when you search for an item for backup, BMO identifies everything that item depends on and backs it up too. So when you restore, everything works. The restore workflow actually rewires references, reconnects them to their dependent maps, apps, and services so that restored content is functional, not just a pile of disconnected files. You can run it on demand or on a schedule. Set it up once and it runs automatically. That overnight AI workflow that scares you, schedule a backup to run right before it does. Cross-environment cloning lets you migrate content between ArcGIS Online and Enterprise. And BMO handles the reference rewiring during the clone so nothing breaks on the other side. And this isn't new or untested. Many organizations worldwide in a variety of sectors are already using Backup.my.org in their daily operations. So here's the rule. Before any AI agent touches the production data, take a backup. For any bulk update, any schema change, any permission modification, take a backup. For any migration or content reorganization, take a backup. And if you can instruct your AI agent, give it this rule. Hey agent, before you change any GIS data, make a backup first. That one instruction can save you from every scenario we just talked about. And now I'm going to turn things over to Bryce Jones, our lead developer on Backup.my.org, who's going to be going over our backup and restore operations.
Thanks, Stephen. I will share my screen now. All right. So I have set up a small dashboard that contains a map and a feature service that I will be backing up, destroying to replicate what would happen if an AI agent made a mistake, and then restoring that dashboard and all of its dependencies. So just so you can see, this is the dashboard. It contains a map. That map contains a layer or feature service, and it works. So you can see that it exists. So I will now create that backup. I've already set up the identity to link to this organization. I will name it demo backup so I can find it later. And then I will add the dashboard to this backup. And then BML, as Stephen mentioned, will intelligently find the dependencies of this dashboard during this pre-processing step. And once it has finished that, we can select what content that we want to back up and start the backup. All right, so as you can see, it's already found a few of those dependencies. So we can see that we have the dashboard, the web map that it depends upon, and then the feature service that web map depends upon, as well as the user that owns all of this content. I'm going to deselect this user now because in this demo, we're not going to be deleting the user. So we can see what is going to be backed up, and I can start that now. Backup.my.org also gives you a little confirmation scheme here that tells you what is going to be backed up and the size, estimated size of that backup, as well as how much space is remaining on your drive that the backup is being stored on. So I'm going to confirm there. So it is backing up now. As you can see, the dashboard and web map were pretty quick, and the feature service took a little bit longer because it had to export the file geodatabase. We can view the results here. All three of those were a success. So now I'm going to simulate what would happen if an AI agent decided these were duplicate data. Going to go in here and delete this content permanently. Oh no. But because backup.org took a backup of that content, as you can see here, we can just restore it right away. So to name this demo restore, I'm going to back up. The backup is from the demo organization, and I'm restoring it to that same organization. So we can leave all of this as is. And now we'll go through the restore workflow. So backup.org has found all of the information that it needs about this content. As you can see, the user already exists. So we're just going to restore to the owner of that content. That content is not in any groups, so we don't have to assign which groups that they should go into. And because none of these items exist as they were deleted, it gives you the ability to create these items new. So we can start the restore now. As you can see, it is restoring all three of these items. The dashboard and web map finished faster, as there is not a publish step to go along with the feature service restoration in those. All right, looks like the feature service is almost finished restoring. So once this is finished, we can move on to the rewiring step. All right, it is now checking the rewire information. And we found that this dashboard, because I'm restoring to an ArcGIS Online organization, we were not able to keep the original item ID of the web map that this dashboard depended upon. But backup.org intelligently found the new item ID of this web map. And it found that in a few different places. So it knows to rewire to that. And then in this web map, the feature service has the same thing, where it found the old information, it found the new item in your organization, and populated the rewire with that new item ID, as well as its service URL. And it will continue with that from here. There are two URLs that backup.org did not want to do with, not know what to do with. But as these are built-in services, we don't have to manage this. So we can start the rewire phase. And as you can see, it is finishing up this post-processing. And it has successfully restored the deleted web map, dashboard, web map, and feature service. So we can go to the link to that item. Open it up. And as you can see, it is as if nothing ever happened. Now, this demo, in the interest of time, was one specific item and its dependencies. Generally speaking, you're going to want to back up more content than that. And you're going to want regular backups of that content. And that is where our scheduled backup comes into play. As you can see here, I have a full org backup set up. that runs weekly, a little bit after working hours every week. So I can edit that backup and see, I can change when it'll start. I can change the name. I can change the frequency. If you want to delete it after, say, a month or two, so you keep a month's worth of backups, you can do that. You can filter it based on all of these quick filters. So if you want, instead of all of your org items, maybe you only want items of a specific type, or only items that were modified in the last X days. But for this backup, because it is a full org backup, we want to back up all items, groups, and users. And then we can just confirm that and save the scan. And now it will back up all of your organization's content every week. That is it for our short demonstration of how to use Backup.org to protect your data. Back to you, Stephen.
Thank you, Bryce. All right, that's Backup.org as it works today. Now let me show you a sneak peek of what's coming that I'm really excited about. MCP workflows for Backup.org. What is Model Context Protocol? MCP is an open standard that lets AI assistants connect directly to external tools and data sources. It was created by Anthropic, the company behind Claude, and it's now adopted by OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, and governed by the Linux Foundation. Here's what it means in plain terms. If you build an MCP server for your product, then any AI assistant that supports MCP can interact with your product through natural language. You build it once, and it works with Claude, ChatGPT, VS Code, Cursor, and dozens of other AI clients. Esri is currently working on MCP servers for ArcGIS Enterprise 12.2, and GeoJobe already has MCP servers in development for a variety of GIS tasks as well. What we're doing now is extending that to our products, starting with Backup.org. We're building an MCP server with over 20 tools that can cover the full backup lifecycle. So what does this look like in practice? Let me walk you through a few examples. Instead of opening BMO, navigating to the search page, entering filter criteria, and copying item IDs, you just say, find all web maps tagged production owned by S. McCall. The AI does the search and comes back with a structured list of results. Then you say backup all feature services modified in the last 7 days. The AI sets up the filter-based backup, shows you a summary of what it's about to do, and waits for confirmation before it runs. It won't do anything until you say go. Then the next morning, what's the status of my overnight backup? Show me what failed and retry those items. The AI checks the backup status, filters for errors, shows you exactly what failed and why, and offers a queue to retry just those failed items. The entire workflow, which normally takes 5 or 6 screens and a bunch of clicking, becomes 3 sentences in a conversation. Now let's take a look at this in action. So here I have Claude Desktop that's running the BMO MCP server. I'm going to start a backup of items tagged with BMO test owned by my demo account here. And there's several identities tied to this Backup.org application. So it's going to try to figure out the best one. Otherwise, it's going to give us a list. It also saves session information for the previous, if you've used a previous identity before. And here it's kind of inferred that the GeoJobe demo is probably the GeoJobe demo identity. So it's asking to use this identity first, but I can show you a list of all identities. So if it couldn't infer that, it would have this list here to choose from. So I am going to choose number 2, which is the GeoJobe demo. And that's going to be used the backup by filter tool here. You can also ask it to filter for items just through a standard like ArcGIS search. Or if you have a spreadsheet of item IDs from your team, You can also pass those along too. So if, say I wanted to also back up the items in this CSV, and we can add those to the backup as well. And then once you have everything you'd like to back up, it gives you the backup options that the same ones you would have when doing a regular backup in the backup org application. So you can do things like skip dependencies, set auto delete. I'm going to set auto delete to true and delete items after 1 day. And before it does any kind of backup or operation, it'll always ask for confirmation. So I think these settings are all good. So I'm going to go ahead and ask if you would like to proceed with the backup. I will say yes. So the backup's been started. We've got a backup ID, and that's running in backup my org. So we can go ahead and check the status of the backup. I'm just going to say yes here. So it's still in progress. It's probably in the pre-processing stage, yeah. So that's still running, and you can keep checking for backup statuses that way. And you can also get detailed backup statuses later. That'll give you a full list of all your items, any errors or anything like that. So let me check again. Show me the status. So while that's still running, there's a lot of other things the BMO MCP can do. So you can also get a quick snapshot of your identity management. So I'm going to say, give me a health check of backup my org and show me which identities have expired. Tokens. So that's calling the get server status MCP tool. So that gives us information on our BMO license here. Looks like our backup finished, so we don't have any active backups or restores here. And we do have 11 expired identity tokens, so that's something we'd have to look at here, and it gives you the list of the ones that need to be addressed. And you can also harness the power of Claude and other MCP clients by taking the detailed information returned by backup.my.org and turning it into a dashboard or other tools for analysis. So let's say I want to check on my nightly backup, and I want to turn that into a dashboard. So that's received all 617 entries from the nightly backup. And now it's going to build the dashboard to help process that information for us. So we can see it's complete. It had one error. There's 617 total. And it kind of gives us a content breakdown here. There we go. So that's really nice to look at. It's very visual as well, which is very nice. And we can see the failed item here. You can also retry failed backup items here. So I want to retry the backup of the errored item. So that'll call the retry backup tool, and that'll just process that one item and try to back that up again. And that started that retry backup. And we can also do a lot of maintenance tasks for BMO, so you can show me all my scheduled backups. So I have three, only one's repeating here, and it lets you know as well. And I can even show the remaining disk space for identities in backup.my.org. So you can kind of check on the disk space as well. It looks like I need a bigger hard drive. I have a lot of these on the same drive here. And it's nice that like Claude at least give you an analysis of whatever command you've run down here, and you can always take additional actions from there. So that's a quick peek at the MCP demo. The MCP server will have about 20 tools to start with, and that'll be calling our new APIs in the BMO backend on the new version. So let me switch back to the presentation. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. Wait, you just finished telling me AI agents are dangerous, and now you want me to let an AI manage my backups? Fair question. And here's the answer. The MCP server is designed with safety as the foundation. Confirmation first. Whether it's retrying a backup, canceling a job, or triggering a new backup, requires explicit confirmation. The AI shows you a detailed summary of what it's about to do and will not proceed until you clearly say yes. Identity first. You always select which ArcGIS organization you're targeting before any operation runs. Augmentation, not automation. The AI mirrors how experienced admins already think. Review first, act second. The admin stays in control at every step. Also, the BMO MCP only augments the capabilities of backup.my.org application and doesn't replace it. This is the critical difference between AI that acts recklessly and an AI that makes you faster while keeping you in charge. So here's where we land. Two futures. On the left, without a backup plan, AI agents are a ticking time bomb in your ArcGIS environment. Every automated workflow is a potential data loss event. You're one misconfigured agent away from a Pocket OS style incident, except with geospatial data that took your team years to build. On the right, with backup.my.org, AI agents become a productivity multiplier. You can adopt agentic workflows with confidence because you know that every change is reversible. You can move fast and you have a safety net. And soon you'll be able to manage that safety net through the same conversational interface your agents use. The choice is yours, but I'd encourage you not to wait until after the incident to make it. If you're already using backup.my.org, thank you. Stay tuned for MCP support in an upcoming release. It's going to change how you interact with the product. If you're not using BMO yet, now's the time to start your evaluation. Visit geojobe.com or contact sales@geojobe.com and we'll get you set up. And regardless of which camp you're in, adopt the backup first mindset today before an AI agent makes that decision for you.
All right, so now we are going to step over into our dedicated Q&A section here. I saw that we had quite a few questions coming in, so I'm going to leave it to Stephen and Bryce to go through and get some of these answered for you all.
All right. I can start up with the first question that was asked. By the way, this is Bryce, the senior developer who presented BMO earlier. So Brian asked, does BMO back up image and elevation layers? So the answer to that is a little bit complicated. We do back up those service types with the data included when the related data item the relationship exists to that item so that we're able to export it. The API at this time does not have a way to export the underlying data without that related data item existing. And then Francis asked, in the demo, were some of the items restored with a different item ID? The answer to that is yes, because we were doing the backup and restore in AGOL, ArcGIS Online. The item IDs are unique globally across the entirety of ArcGIS Online, and because of that, generally speaking, you can't restore with the same item ID as an item that has been deleted. If you were restoring to ArcGIS Enterprise, you would be able to restore with the same ID as long as that item ID does not exist in your enterprise organization. Let's see. Josh asked, what ArcGIS item types does Backup My Org support? We have a list of unsupported item types on our website. I'm sure that support would be able to send you that list, or you could visit the website to find out. Let's see. Francis asked, can you please clarify which scenarios would be suited to a full organization backup where dependencies are skipped? In my understanding, a restore of an app would not be possible here. So when choosing to back up your full organization, the dependencies of items will be included because they are items in your organization. So that option won't actually do anything. That is mostly like, let's say you have a scheduled backup where you're backing up all content owned by a certain user, but you don't want to back up any dependencies of that content that is owned by a different user. That's where that option would be used. And as for restoring an app, the app itself, if it was backed up, can be restored regardless of if its dependencies are backed up. But if the dependencies are also deleted, you would need to have backed those up in order to restore them and have a working application. Jovian asked, does a backup capture usage statistics or do those reset with the restore? The backup does not capture that information. If the item was deleted and restored, that would be reset. If the item is overwritten, so the item already exists, those usage statistics would be kept. Let's see. Stefan asked, can Backup My Org be configured to allow a non-admin user to run a backup procedure? The answer to that is yes, as long as an admin sets up the identity, refreshes the tokens that are used and stored in BMO, and then gives that non-admin access to Backup My Org. Let's see. Ronald asked, where are the backups stored and do they consume Esri AGOL credits? Backups are stored wherever you choose to store them when setting up an identity. So that can be either locally on the same machine that Backup My Org is installed on, or it can be in the cloud, whether that's a network drive or AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure Blob storage. And they do not consume HUL credits because they're not stored in your organization. They're stored at a location of your choosing. Let's see. Dirk asked, what is the difference between backup and clone? The backup is, as you saw, it is just that backup process. And then clone is the backup and restore process sort of stitched together into one workflow. So, you saw me during my demonstration do a backup, delete the item, and then restore the item to the same location. Clone would generally be used for migrations and things like that, where you're backing up in one place and restoring to a different place. Let's see. Luke said, we have over 3,000 items to back up the full organization. How long would this take, given that I have AWS instance type 5.2 large? So storage, or rather backup times, really depend a lot on a few different things. So there's your, network speed, how fast your connection is to wherever the data is stored. And also, item type also matters a lot, or item count rather. So, the more items you have, the longer it's going to take. Item type matters a lot as well. So generally speaking, hosted feature services are going to take the longest to back up on average, based on the size of that service. And obviously any larger, data sets are going to take longer to back up. In my experience, I have done a full org backup on our demo organization that has around 12,000 items over the course of, I believe it was 6 hours. But that demo organization doesn't have any particularly large feature services in it. It's mostly registered services. So that went a lot faster than it would for instance, an org that's full of large hosted feature services. Let's see. Anonymous asked, does the backup get stored as a zip file? The simple answer is yes. Each of the items, users, and groups, all of the backup contents are zipped up and then stored wherever you choose to store them. Let's see. Mark asked, where do the backups get saved? So I answered that earlier. It's wherever you choose. It can be offsite in either network drive or cloud storage. It just depends on how you choose to set it up. And then Stephen, do you want to ask or answer Evan's question about the MCP?
Sure. So Evan asked, I noticed you select an identity in the Claude MCP workflow. What does that expose in terms of authentication connection? Does the AI cache the credentials? So the to connect with it, any MCP server like Claude or ChatGPT, anything that could run an MCP server, connects with the BMO MCP server. And the only credentials that are exchanged there with BMO is in BMO, you would set up an API key for your MCP server. So no ArcGIS credentials are exchanged at all. The only thing the AI would see was the API call going in and any data that comes out. So if there was like detailed, if you get like a detailed backup, it has to be the same as if you were looking at like a backup log in the BMO application. So they would see things like item name, owner, type, and those kind of things. And then Josh asks, so this runs in Claude, not in backup.org. So it's connecting to backup.org through the BMO MCP server. You can install the BMO MCP server either locally and have your Claude or any other MCP or AI be able to connect to it through the configuration. So you can have the BMO MCP there locally, or you can have it even set up on the BMO server or any server that has IIS on it that can do a redirect. So it's not Claude actually doing like the backups. It's just Claude talking to the BMO MCP, which actually talks to backup.org. And then if the org admin is not using agentic AI, then isn't the risk of data loss from a rogue agent restricted to the content owned by the individual using that agent, assuming no compromised credentials? So yeah, if it's not agentic AI, like some kind of Claude bot or something like that, there's definitely less risk. The permissions for that data loss is definitely a lot less if it's just a user, not an org admin. But it's still good to have a backup in place anyway. Um, Especially like because the back of my org credentials are org admin level, so it can still get everybody's backup. So if an individual does something wrong with an agent, then you can still do a full restore and get all the data back.
All right. Thank you, Stephen. And then Bill asked, what about spatiotemporal, tile cache, and graph data stores? Are those still best managed by backup data store utility? The answer to that is yes. So backup.org is only able to back up what is accessible via the API. And we do not currently interact with the servers directly. So potentially in the future, we will have utilities that interact directly with the servers where that data is stored. But at this time, we don't do that. And then Arthur said, when you restored the feature service, did you say that BMO checked for other items that depended on that old item ID and edited those other items to point to the new restored item ID? So with the options that I chose for that restore, BMO only edited items that were being restored at that time. So the web map and dashboard, the feature service, the new feature service ID was edited where it was found, and URL was edited where it was found in those two items. We do have a rewire entire org option in backup.my.org for the restore. So if you were to select that item as part of the post-processing step, it would look at every item in your organization, and it would search for the new, or it would search for references to the old ID and URL and replace it with the new ID and URL where it finds those references. And then Francis asked, what are the parameters for last modification date? For instance, can it detect when data was edited in a hosted feature service, or is this based on the modified date on the item details page? It is based on the item modified date of the item details page. There is a different filter for specifically feature services that have been edited. And the reason for that difference is that the data is stored in different places. The feature service edit date is stored in the service definition of the feature service, where the item modified date is stored with the item details. Let's see, that appears to be all of the questions so far. So if anybody has any more, definitely feel free to ask them.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get us moving on. Feel free to keep dropping questions into the chat. If there's anything that comes up even after the fact, I will be having our email posted up on screen here shortly where you can reach out to us and we can address some of those questions even after the webinar today. To go ahead and go over the next thing I've got prepared for you, we do have a question where we want to ask what AI tools does your organization currently use or allow? So we've got a multiple choice here where you can go in and select whatever options make the most sense. So we will just give this a few moments so everyone has a chance to go in and input their answers, but we'd be very interested to see what kind of tools you are already actively using in your organization. And then I see a couple of questions coming in. Will the slides be available later? So we're actually recording this webinar, and everyone who has attended today will receive a copy of the recording. So you will have access to this even after the webinar today. And while these answers are coming in, I would love to see if anyone who wants to go ahead and put just into the chat. Is there anybody attending now that is currently using our products? I see a couple of familiar names, like Francis. Hey, how's it going, Francis? So I know a couple of y'all are using our products, but it'd be interesting to see how many people here attending today would be able to, share that they're using our products currently already. And then I think we've still got a few more answers coming in. All right, and then we'll go ahead and close the poll down here. And let's go ahead and talk about our key takeaways. So some of the things to keep in mind is that traditional backup solutions are generally not going to be enough for backing up GIS data when AI is involved. If you don't have a plan, then you're at a serious risk for potential data loss, just like Steven showed in his example. So Backup.org can help you use AI safely and securely so that even if it goes rogue, you have options to restore your data in a worst case scenario. And then I've got one last question for you here, which is, would you like us to contact you more with info about Backup.org? And this is where we can go over pricing, because we do have different licensing structures and things like that. So if you want to hear more, by all means, please go ahead and select the yes option, and we'll make sure that we follow up with you after our webinar so we can give you whatever details it is that you might still be looking for. So I'm going to give this just a couple of moments here to go ahead and allow people to put in their answer. And while those answers are coming in, I just want to remind everybody this is part of a series that we're doing. We have a couple of our products that we've already done these webinars on that are available on our YouTube channel. And if anybody's interested in putting in chat, if they have seen any of the previous webinars or attended any of the previous ones so far. But we do have a couple more planned coming up. And so make sure that you're signed up for notifications from us so that we can get that information to you and you can be aware when these are upcoming about some of our other products. We also do some on our partners and things like that because we work with all sorts of different organizations. That way we can make sure that when you reach out to us, no matter what your need is, we have some kind of solution, whether it's with us, one of our partners, you know, all sorts of things like that. We work with people all over. Yeah, I see Sean there. Yeah, if you we can definitely, if you reach out to us at sales@geojobe.com, we can definitely get you off to see a little bit more about how admin tools and some of the other products work. Yeah, yeah, Chris. That's very true. That's very true. All right, so I think that's probably enough time. So we'll go ahead and close down the poll there. And just as a reminder, we do have free trials available for all of our products. So if there's any of our paid for products that you'd like to try, I know a couple people have mentioned in chat that they're using the free version. But if you want to try out our paid for versions of our tools, then I definitely recommend you reaching out. We offer the trials all the time. We will be doing a prize drawing over the next week to select the winner of the Map This bundle. And as you can see, I've got our email also up on screen, sales@geojobe.com. You can reach out to us there, or you can even go to our website. And in fact, if you want to go visit our website, this QR screen will take you straight there. So if you want to learn more about us, more about our other products, anything like that, it's a great resource to go to. We've also got our knowledge base on there that covers a lot of FAQs. For instance, somebody asked earlier about supported item types, and that's where you can go ahead and find, because we support most items. There's a very small list of things we don't support. So it's actually faster to tell you what we don't support versus what we do. So it's a great resource to go in, get to that knowledge base and see that kind of information. Thank you all again for attending today. As a reminder, a recording of this will be sent out to everyone who has registered for the webinar. And if you have any questions, reach out to us at any time. But other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful day.